Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And today's film that I'm reviewing is the 1989 movie Three Fugitives. Here is your trivia question for today. What issue does Ned's daughter Meg suffer from? The answer will be at the end of this episode. In the film Three Fugitives, we start off at a prison where we meet our main character of Lucas, who is finally getting out after 5 years and 14 bank robberies. Now, the first thing that Lucas does once he's free is head to a bank, but not to rob it, to open an account, as he is finally going straight. The only problem with this is a man named Ned Perry has decided that today is the perfect day to go rob that bank. Now, things go from bad to worse for Lucas, as Ned apparently thinks that Lucas is the perfect person to take hostage. Somehow, that's even still not the worst part, as the police are under the belief that Lucas is either the one in charge or working with Ned. So now, with both of these gentlemen's fates seemingly being intertwined, and the fact that Lucas just can't seem to get rid of Ned, they will have to work together to get out of this. There is also one last final complication that Lucas is definitely not prepared for, the fact that Ned's daughter gets pulled into this situation as well. So, with everything working against them, can these three fugitives figure out some way to escape? This movie was directed and written by Francis Weber. What's interesting though is this movie is actually a remake of a 1986 French film called The Fugitives, which was also directed and written by Francis Weber. In the original French film, the two main characters are played by Pierre Richard and Gerard Depardieu. And then in the American remake, we have Martin Short and Nick Nolte. Short in this film plays the character of Ned Perry, and in the original, Pierre Richard plays the character of Francois Pignon. Now, here's something really interesting. There's a French film from 1981 called The Goat that also stars Pierre Richard and Gerard Depardieu. Now, that film would also get an American remake that appeared in 1991 called Pure Luck, and the character that was played by Pierre Richard would once again be played by Martin Short. Now, the Gerard Depardieu character would not be played by Nick Nolte, but Danny Glover this time. Now, what's really funny is there is a similar situation with Nick Nolte. Now, he plays the character of Lucas in this film. And as I mentioned, Gerard Depardieu would play the character of Lucas in the original French film. Now, here's where the crazy part comes in. Nick Nolte appears in the 1986 film Down and Out in Beverly Hills. But in 2005, Gerard Depardieu would appear as the same character in the French remake called Baudu. So I may not have blown your mind, but I just thought all of that was really fascinating. Three Fugitives would unfortunately be Kenneth Macmillan's final film. He passed away from liver disease 3 weeks before the film released. He plays Dr. Horvath in this film and has some very funny sequences, as he's a retired veterinarian who is senile and apparently keeps thinking that Lucas is a big dog. Now, aside from the main characters, the two other actors you probably recognize the most in this film are James Earl Jones and Alan Ruck. Now, there are also quite a few character actors that appear in this movie as well, including Bruce McGill, Larry Miller, Brian Thompson, and Kathy Kinney. Here's something fun to know if you weren't already aware of it. But when Martin Short's character of Ned Perry first shows up to rob the bank, he is wearing a mask made out of pantyhose, and when he goes to bite the pin off of the grenade he has, the mask snaps open and exposes his face. This was not planned, but the director found it so funny that he kept it in the film. This movie was filmed in Washington and California. So when it comes to the film Three Fugitives, I used to watch this all the time when I was young. I still do enjoy it to this day. Mind you, it's not the best movie ever made, but it does still have some very entertaining, very funny, and even some very charming moments throughout it. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Now, if you did enjoy this one, other films I recommend checking out are Trapped in Paradise, Quick Change, Armed and Dangerous, and Bulletproof. Now it's time to answer the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. What issue does Ned's daughter Meg suffer from? Since the tragic passing of her mother, Meg has been mute. Side note, by the way, the actress Sarah Rowland Dorff, who played Meg, actually won an award for her portrayal. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And if there's any films out there that you think I should give a trivia review to, feel free to mention them in the comments.